What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Friday Fuel, from unknown to unforgettable. We got a special guest today in the house, but I'm super excited to bring him on. First, before that, let StreamYard see your comments. There's a little link there. If somebody could drop that link real quick, just let StreamYard actually view your comments, so we could actually see who's commenting and who's actually tuning in here, so I could actually address your question, who you are. But as you guys are coming in here, drop in the comments where you guys are coming in from. I'm coming in again from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Super beautiful. It's actually starting to warm up a lot here. It's getting like 80s. We got spring training going on. Super fun things like that. And then drop in your weekly win. For me, guys, I'm in the game with you guys, and as my light is not wanting to work at all right now, but that's okay. You got to adapt. Winners adapt. So my weekly win, and as you guys are coming in here, drop in the comments what your weekly win is. But for me, well, my weekly win is just being able to really like average about four families helped every single day this week. I'm at 15 families helped so far in the life insurance space, with their final expenses, getting those taken care of. And what's really cool is I'm learning that consistency always wins. And if you guys haven't already, I've been dropping a ton of stuff on my YouTube. If you just look up Johnny Nitafan, been just really posting about, okay, how do I stay consistent and even when it's really challenging, right? So yesterday started like 1 for 4, 1 for 5, ended the day 5 for 9. And so you think about it, it's like, okay, how do you stay consistent? And it's just continuously doing the reps. And especially when you're a new agent, it's really important to do the volume, do the reps, and really put the work in, because hey, it's challenging. It's challenging when you're a new agent and struggling. So I appreciate you guys coming on here. We're going to get some massive nuggets today from one of my good buddies, Oscar Gonzalez. He's a marketing guy, has been crushing it on the TikTok side, Facebook side, run millions of dollars in ad spend. So you guys are going to be able to ask questions in the comments. If you guys have any questions that pop up, hey, how do I market? How do I start generating my own leads? We're actually going to go into go a little bit deeper on actually how you can start today, and what that looks like. And so without further ado, appreciate you coming on here, Mr. Oscar Gonzalez. What's up, man?
Hey, Johnny, how are you, my friend? Great
What's
to be
going
here.
on?
Everything's good. Everything's good. Beautiful Friday. I'm always hyped up for the Friday Fuel. A pleasure to be on it, man. You've had some really great guests on, and so it's a pleasure to be on here and share some thoughts for everybody.
Yeah, man, of course. Yeah, you're coming in from Florida. How's that going in
It's
Florida?
good. Like Arizona, it's starting to heat up out here. For us, it's a little different. That humidity starts kicking in this time of year, and I'm down in South Florida, so we get that heat coming right now. But it's good. I'm used to it. I've been here most of my life, so
Yeah, man.
beautiful
I
day out
love
here.
it. That's awesome. Well, let's just dive right in here, because why should people listen to you specifically, just in terms of like what have you been able to do in the marketing space? Kind of talk about your background in terms of e-commerce and really actually spending a ton of money on Facebook. How much would you, by the way, how much would you say in ad spend you've probably spent over the 10-15 years that you've actually been running Facebook ads?
It's certainly in the millions. It could probably approach tens of millions through all the
Wow.
affiliate ads that we ran back in the ecom days. And so to give you a little background, right? So I've
Yeah.
only been in insurance for a couple of years, on my own. I went in as a media buyer when I first came into the business, and I helped a large agency go from dialing age data to generating online. But prior to that, I spent about 8 years building a big ecom business where we sold products, apparel, all using affiliates and video ads, a lot of Instagram ads, a ton of Facebook stuff. And that's a company that we started back in 2012. And look, you asked, why should people kind of listen to what I'm saying, or the advice that I maybe give? I think trial and error and failing a bunch of times in these last 10, 15 years has led me to a handful of successes in my life, right? And so I think if you have the experience of failing, and I've always believed, like, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
success only comes with failures, right? And doing the wrong things over and over again. And then that one time it hits, and that's how you can realize and say, oh, wait, okay, this is now working. And so that's what I've gone through. I've gone through thousands and thousands of different ads and placements and testing to get to where I am today and to have the knowledge that I have today about just online marketing in general. And so, yeah, so we started back in 2012 selling, like I said, all kinds of stuff before e-com was even a thing. We were really kind of involved in it and scaled the business pretty quickly and had huge success in it,
Yeah.
Back in 2018, between 2018 and 2020, we kind of started shifting out of the business. And in 2020, I was basically out of e-com, and I had kind of looking for what I was going to do next. And I was in a pretty good position. And so I took my time, but I came into insurance and immediately just starting applying the same marketing principles that I had seen that an e-com really led the way to the ads and where like ads are now, right? Like in e-com, we were doing the ads that just now in the last couple of years you've been seeing in insurance. And so that's kind of where I applied everything, all that knowledge, all those failures and successes, and brought me to kind of where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of what have you learned in terms of marketing from from spending so much money on Facebook? What are some things that you've obviously done the thing, you've made a bunch of money just selling like stuff on Facebook, not even insurance, just stuff in general, and then getting into the insurance industry, absolutely crushing it in that realm. What are some takeaways that you've had spending millions of dollars on Facebook?
Wow, there's so many, but I think the biggest is the expectations that you have going into online marketing, right? The idea that one ad or one creative is the end all answer to everything, and if that doesn't work, it's over. The idea really is the complete opposite, right? Online marketing is about testing, improving, testing again, seeing what's not working, testing again. And that's all you're really doing. A lot of people get into online marketing and they go and they're so excited to make their first Facebook ad, and it's like, oh, I did it. And then it runs for 2 days and they're like, oh, I spent $40 and I don't have one lead.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden their demeanor goes down the drain, and it's like, oh, this doesn't work. Let me go back to what I was doing. Right. And so, like anything else, online marketing is a bit of a gamble, right? There's a risk involved. And so for me, the biggest takeaway has been learning to work with that risk, right? And like leveraging that risk and being able to handle that pressure, right? And as an entrepreneur, I think that's something that people coming into this business and being on their own need to really have clear and have a mindset of that. Man, being on your own is not about, having an expectation of like, okay, I ran this ad. How many leads is it going to get? How much money am I going to produce off it? That's not the mentality. The mentality is, let me get this ad going. Let me see where it takes me. And then trial and error, I'm going to fix this and get through it to get to the next step. And little by little, you start learning.
Yeah.
But that mentality is so important to be able to take that risk and see an ad that you just dropped, $50, $100 on not working, and do it again, right? That's what takes the courage to say, shit, this didn't work. Let me try this. Let me try that. Let me try that. And so I think for me, that's the biggest takeaway over the years. I might run 3, 4, 5 ads and 3 of them might not work. I'm not worried about it. I'm just continuing because 2 worked, and so now I'm building more off those 2. So that's a huge
guys. Drop in the comments down below. Are you buying leads or generating leads? I'm really curious actually to see who are you guys buying leads from a vendor, from whoever, or are you guys actually generating your own leads? So drop in the comments. I'm really curious to see. For me personally, I just started generating my own leads about 2.5 months ago.
Mhm.
And so it's been super successful for me. Obviously, like Oscar was saying, it's a work. At the end of the day, it's a work. Just like selling is a work, like a real, like it's work. I think marketing is a lot. How do I say it? Like marketing, I feel like is another level of hard, because you're not getting immediate feedback in terms of, is this working or is it not? Like it just takes time. You got to spend the money for selling. Michael is saying buying live transfers, leads, and referrals. I love it. Okay, Ryan, you're generating your own. I love it. So, guys, drop in the comments down below. Are you generating your leads or are you buying your leads? I'm curious. We already got two different people generating and one's buying. So, but yeah, for me, like the I lost my train of thought. Creating live transfers, I love it. Um, but yeah, it's the with selling. I remember the with selling, you're getting that immediate feedback. It's like, did that work or did that not? And you don't have to really spend money to do that. Like I started cold calling a list, and I figured out what worked and what didn't. I didn't pay for anything for that list, but these people were just straight up cold. With marketing, you actually have to spend the money to actually learn the skill. With selling, not necessarily true. So, Oscar, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are in regards to that.
Yeah, look, marketing, there's no rule book, right? There's no like guide to follow. You can only get so far following certain steps, and then after that, it is just understanding audiences, understanding how these platforms really work, which just takes time. Like even if you go out there and you buy a course that walks you through setting up an ad, like you still don't really understand how that platform, Facebook, TikTok, is actually getting you that lead, right? And so that knowledge of how audiences work, how ad sets work, how placements work across the entire platform are super important, right? And then understanding what you're delivering in those videos or those ads as a creative, and the flow that lead is taken, or that person is taking throughout the process of seeing your ad, filling out a lead form, or going into a funnel and then submitting and then going
Yeah.
into a calendar page. And so that's something that just comes with just repetition and doing it over and over. And so you can get to a point where you go, oh, okay, this doesn't work. Let me not let me not try to do
Yeah.
that right off the bat. Let me focus on this. And so
Yeah.
um,
That's good. I love that.
yeah, I think it's just having that mindset, just like, when you get leads, or even if whether you're buying them or creating them, now what do I do? Now I have 50 leads, 100 leads. How do I work these leads? And so it's the same thing. You learn by trial and error that if you don't hit those leads right away within the first 5 minutes, the chances of you getting that contact go down,
Down.
right? And all the
Yep.
things that we know about how to properly work these leads,
Yeah.
unless you're doing it every day and seeing that and going through that, it's going to be tough for you to just understand how that works and why it works that way.
Yeah, big time. And let me ask you this, because what I'm seeing a lot of recently is just a lot of people that should not be generating their own leads are trying, and it's like you're not there. There's a level of like at least experience that you should have to get into generating your own leads. Because guys, I hate to break the news to you, but like there's no magic lead.
Right.
There really isn't. There's no people that are just all of a sudden you start generating your own leads and all of a sudden bam, like the world's amazing and you're just living in heaven. Like it's not the case, because you still have to ask the right questions to lead them actually into a buying decision. So because you've worked with a lot of agents on it, just in terms of like starting to generate their own leads, who would you say like that, when's that step actually supposed to be taken? Because I don't think, what I've realized is like a new agent should not, I think, be generating their own leads or even thinking about that, because then it's like you're trying to build two skills at once. You're trying to learn the marketing and then learn the sales side. So for you, like from your experience, when is the right time to take that step into generating your own leads?
I can tell you that, and you're dead on, right? I think that a new agent, right, should first of all focus on one thing at a time for sure. It's hard enough as a new agent figuring out underwriting, figuring out where am I placing, Mrs. Jones, who's 70 years old and is a diabetic and has blood clots and all these things that are going through your head when you're trying to figure out where to place a person. And so for me, if you're a new agent, and I typically will try not to take on clients that are brand new
Yeah.
because they're just not there, right? And I think if you're new, you should be focusing on two things, right? The underwriting hump, right? Understanding how to underwrite a person, and then most importantly, sales skills. How to sharpen your sales skills, what to do when that person picks up the phone and you have that lead, whether it's bought or generated. What are you doing with it? How are you properly taking that person from that initial phone call and through the sale, building rapport, probing, assuming all the things that have to be done in a sale, especially with these leads or any lead in general. I think that's where the focus needs to be for a new agent. And then once they're closing deals, right? Once they're doing business, I think then you can start bringing it on, because like you said, right? Lead generation, like you generating your own leads, it doesn't mean that the leads are now these awesome, fantastic leads. Even if it's you on the video telling them whatever story you're telling them, like it's still a stranger watching another stranger, right? And so what lead generation does that people need to understand is it gives you the control over who your customer is and what it takes to acquire that customer, right? And as you grow in your business, that becomes ever more important, right? Understanding who your audience really is, how to acquire, and what it takes to get that customer through your doors or on your phone. That's what lead generation does. So it's more work, right? Let's not kid ourselves. It's more work because you're managing something else, but in the control that gives you, it's unparalleled to anything else, So like when you're buying leads, and there's nothing wrong with buying leads, right? I used to buy leads and I've done it before and I've spent tons of money on it. And there's great lead vendors and there's ones that are not so good. But the challenge becomes that at some point in your business, you have zero control over where that lead comes from, how it was acquired, how do I scale? You have no insight on it. And so that's where at some point you need to have that control in order to get to the bigger numbers and scale the way you might want to.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, drop in the comments down below what questions you may have for Oscar, because this guy knows a lot. He's experienced. He spent millions of dollars on Facebook. So if you guys are just starting to get into generating your own leads or been generating for a while and haven't got the results you're looking for, drop down below like questions that you might have, and we'll actually be able to answer it now. Because I wanted to save some time to actually be able to kind of cover those things. But yeah, I think when you're a newer agent, it's not about, you got to learn the sales process. How do you actually lead somebody to make a decision? Because it's not if they're going to buy or not. Like that honestly doesn't matter. And that's one massive change like in my business that I had, was that I don't care if they buy or not. I just need them to decide.
Right.
That's the biggest thing I think as a new agent, like people have, is they can't ask the right questions to really draw their client in to make a decision whether they want it or not. Because at the end of the day, sales is a numbers game. But if you don't have the numbers, yes or no, it really just doesn't matter. Because then it's like, okay, if they're going to think about it, then it's like you're going to play this follow-up game and you have no resolution. I'd rather have resolution and say no than I can actually speak to somebody who's highly qualified and ready to actually buy. Right.
Agreed. Yeah. I think for me, when I'm training new agents, I talk a lot about the first part of the call, right? Like you shouldn't you shouldn't talk about prices, quotes. And I've been in sales since I was 16 years old, right? I started selling long distance business to business AT&T phone lines when I was a junior in high school. And so I've been on the phones for my entire for my entire life, with the exception of an 8-year span that I was in ecom. I've lived on the phones. I've operated call centers with 150 people in them. And so I come from that world. And for me, selling price, and that's my biggest takeaway that I can tell people right now, right? Getting into this business, do not sell price. Don't sell, don't talk about prices. That should be the last thing that's talked about on a phone call. The first thing that you need to assess is, why is this person on your phone, right? Why do they need insurance? What made them click on the ad? What made them fill out the information that they filled out? Why now? Why not 6 months ago? Why not a year ago? And who are we protecting, right? What is the pain point? What's the need that this person has? Because you might be on the phone with somebody for 20 minutes and then they tell you that they don't have any kids and their wife died. And so what do they need life insurance for, right? But those are the questions and things that you have to do in the beginning, and use the things that they're telling you to build up the need for that insurance, build up I call it leverage, because it really is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're leveraging what somebody's telling you their need is or their pain is against them, with the ultimate goal of helping them, right? Because that's what we're here to do for people, is to help them and protect their family. But in order to do that, you have to be able to lead that conversation and understand what triggers, what is it that they need there, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's I like one of my mentors once taught me, like, when you're going into a negotiation, the questions that you ask are the ammo that shoots down their objections.
Correct.
And so I love that, because it's like you're going into a fight and you don't have any ammo in your gun. The only way you acquire ammo is by asking questions, taking the ammo, and then shooting all their objections down, bang, 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 one at a time, based on what they've already told you. Because they're here's the thing about questions, is that the client will tell you exactly how they want to be sold. They'll tell you exactly what it is, but you have to ask those questions. It comes with tonality. It comes with, like, actually, like, doing the thing. So it's like, okay, because there's certain things that will not work when you're selling over the phone, especially with Oscar and I. Like, we sell over the phone. If you're in person, it's different, but all you have is your voice. So it's like really drawing them in to listen more, right? So it's like tonality, going up and down, asking the hard questions, things like that, which is good. Melissa said, when spring finally comes here in, I always forget, is that Michigan or Minnesota?
Where are we?
MN,
Minnesota.
Minnesota, I think. Yeah.
Minnesota.
I always get those confused. Yeah, it's Minnesota. I feel that I will have success door knocking in my community. Have you ever door knocked before, Oscar?
No, no. I'm in South Florida, man. It's 110 degrees during the summer heat, and no, no. I've just always been a phone guy, and I've been able to find success there. And for me, it's such a numbers game,
Yeah.
sales in general. And so immediately I go to where I can dial so many more numbers than I can knock on doors. Even though, yes, when I'm in front of somebody, will I be able to close them much easier and all that? But I lose a lot of time in driving, and I really don't like driving and being in like, I don't want to do that, And
Yeah.
so I've just always been a phone guy, and I've stuck to my lane. The other day, I was listening to Ray Dalio, right? I don't know if you know who that is, but he's a
Uh-uh.
big hedge fund trader guys, owns the biggest hedge fund in the world. But basically, this guy was on CNBC, and the other day he said something that just has stuck with me, right? And he said, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything, right? And it means that there's so many things that you could do out here to be successful, right? You could do final expense, you could do Medicare, you can knock on doors, you can buy leads, you can generate leads, you can do a million things, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. You have to focus on one thing and become really good at that one thing. to be able to really have success that most of us are looking for, you know. And so I think it's so important, because in this business, especially when you're new or you have this entrepreneurial mentality, man, you want to do a million things. You know, you hear something else and it's like, oh, I want to try that. Well, that sounds good. Let me try that. But it's so important to stay hyper focused on one thing and become the best at that one thing.
100%. What's when somebody's ready to take that step to start generating their own leads, what are some like 3 things that you would say that would like they got to really understand to be successful at generating their own leads?
I think they need to, number one, if they need help, they can come see me. I'd be happy to help them out and get it all set up for them. But if they're trying to do it on their own, number one, you know, have the mentality that this is going to be a trial and error process, and that you're likely going to have to do more than one ad to find the success. Let me take that back. The first thing that any agent should do if they're going to generate their own leads and they're doing telesales, get more states. Get more states. Just go get more states, right? You need to have, like, you cannot expect to generate leads at a low cost if you're just marketing in 1 or 2 states, right? So number one above all, if you're ready to start generating your own leads and you're doing telesales, go rack up 20 plus states. The more, the better, right?
Yeah.
Because that is a direct correlation. There's a direct link there above anything else to lead cost and lead volume, is the amount of states that you're actually targeting. So that's number one. Number two, having the mindset of like, okay, this is a trial and error. Nothing's perfect here. We're going to have to try this and try that. And number three, having the mentality that it's not just Facebook, right? You should be testing on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Right now, I get a lot of people come to me and say, oh, well, TikTok, what's going on with the ban and all this stuff? I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm there now. And if tomorrow the government shuts it down, I'll be on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And so you got to be able to maneuver and not worry so much about the outside noise that's all around you, because those are the things that keep you from taking the steps that can make you successful.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. Well, while we wrap up here, Oscar, what's where can people find you, reach out to you if they even want to like figure out more how to generate their own leads, what that looks like, even maybe have a conversation with you, things like that? Where can they reach out to you, follow you on your journey as you're kind of like working and still like sharing a bunch of knowledge in terms of generating their own leads, things like that?
Yep. So anybody can find me. My program is under Scalemysocial.io, and we do setups on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're across all platforms. So you can find me there. I also obviously own an agency, MyinsuranceAid, so you can find me on all socials at MyinsuranceAid. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to always help out people, even if you're not buying the course or coming on as a client. If you just have questions and you're trying to, you know, figure things out, I think that's how you and I even connected, right? It was just like talking and going through it. So yeah, I'm always available for people and happy to help fellow agents and agencies out there.
Yeah, this guy knows his stuff, guys. So if you're wanting to learn more from him, definitely reach out to him. And there's going to be a link down in the description or link down below after I get off here, and I'll be able to actually drop the a link just to get to where he's at. So guys, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was more of just an informative, really trying to figure out, okay, when's the right time to generate your own leads? What are some good selling things and like skills that you need to acquire? And we kind of went all over, but it was really good because we were able to actually kind of break down when's the right time to start generating your own leads. So guys, thank you guys so much for coming on. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. Go make it a great Friday. Go crush it and have a great week. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Later, guys.